welcome back to the channel. This might be an unpopular opinion, but this winter I am intentionally trying to go as long as I can without blanketing my horses. And no, it's not because I'm cruel and don't care about my horses. It's because I truly believe that it is better for them to go without blankets. And before we get into this video, I'm just gonna say, if you blanket your horses, that's great. I'm not blanket shaming anyone. I'm just going to talk about my decision on not blanketing my horses this year and how I'm going about that. I think a lot of people misunderstand winter and horses, so I'm hoping with this video I can clear that up a little bit and make you realize that it's not a crazy statement to say that I'm going all winter not blanketing my horses and I don't live in Arizona. I will acknowledge that there are some horses that definitely need blankets. There's certain breeds that just do not grow a thick coat. Really young horses, really old horses, sick horses. There's a variety of cases where, yes, a horse should be blanketed, and yes, it would be cruel if they weren't blanketed. My horses, my two geldings, Junior and Diesel, do not fall into any of those categories. Horses are biologically designed to survive winter. Yes, God created them that way. A horse that has access to shelter and forage and room to just move will naturally develop a winter coat that will be more than adequate to keep them warm throughout the winter. It kind of acts like this really awesome high-tech insulation system. Their winter coat is designed to trap warm air between their hair and their skin, keeping them warm. And if that coat isn't disrupted, meaning it's not flattened down or anything like that, it works very well in keeping them nice and cozy. And that flattening, that's where blankets cause trouble because they are flattening the winter coat, which is disrupting that high-tech insulation system, because part of how it functions is being kind of fluffy and trapping that warm air in there, which is what keeps them warm. One of the biggest issues that I have with blankets is that more often than not, they do not fit correctly. Even if you do splurge and buy some of the more expensive brands, there's no guarantee that it's going to fit your horse's body correctly. You might get shoulder rubs and all sorts of things like that that indicate that it is not fitting your horse correctly. And not only can this cause rubbing, but it can also cause just all kinds of discomfort and disrupted movement or restrictive movement that's going to be really hard on your horse, especially if they're wearing that blanket 24/7 for months on end throughout a winter season. Best case scenario, your horse might just have a few rub marks where the hair will need to grow back. Worst case scenario, you can end up with a very sore horse. I know back in the day, I had a blanket on Junior and it would rub his shoulders, and my solution wasn't to either find a different blanket or just not make him wear it at all. My solution was to I can't remember what they're called, but it was like a shoulder guard I would put under the blanket to help try to prevent the hair from being rubbed. It never clicked in my inexperienced horse person mind that if a blanket is rubbing his shoulders enough to rub the hair off, that it's also likely causing him some soreness or potentially even pain. So in my mind now, the question becomes, if a blanket isn't absolutely necessary, then why would I put a blanket on my horse and potentially risk all sorts of soreness and body issues that come up with an ill-fitting blanket? To me, that just doesn't make sense. I think another thing that's really hard for horse owners is it's cold outside. I need to bundle up when I go outside. It is cold. Surely my horse is cold as well. No, he is not. It does not work that way. Have you noticed I am not covered in a very furry coat? I'm assuming you aren't as well. Your horse is. We are not comparing apples to apples when we're saying, hey, it's cold out, I need a blanket, therefore my horse also needs a blanket. You have to remember that the horse's winter coat is their winter jacket. They already have it on. You do not need to supplement the jacket that they already have on. Several years ago, I was definitely the stereotypical girl who was always cold. At the time, I was very underweight, and so I had very little body weight on my body. I was always cold, regardless of whether it was winter or not. And I feel like I just assumed my horse was going to be cold too, and so he was always in a blanket. And I feel so bad looking back now, because I know, especially here in Alberta, the temperatures fluctuate a lot over the course of a winter. It was -30 with the wind chill the other day. Come next week, it's going to be above freezing again. Like, we have a huge range of temperatures during the winter. I did not, first off, I was making my horse wear a blanket. Second, I was not taking into account those fluctuations. There was definitely times on those warmer days where he would be sweating under that blanket, and I feel so bad at this point. So yeah, don't do as I did back in the day. Like, I wish I could apologize a million times over to Junior for the things that I put him through back in the day, including ill-fitting blankets, too hot blankets, like all the things. I'm like, I'm so sorry, Junior. I'm so glad you put up with me, but I am so sorry. I guess I should just give some context on my horse's situations right now. So I have 2 quarter horse geldings. Quarter horses are more than capable of generating and growing a very nice, cozy winter coat. I have a 6-year-old, he's 6, yes, Diesel, and I have Junior, who's 25. So Junior is definitely a senior horse, but he has done very well at growing a winter coat for himself this year. In the event that he was starting to have trouble, yes, I would definitely consider blanketing him at that point. No concerns with that right now. They are both outside 24/7. I have no plans of hauling them to an indoor arena this year, so there's no issues with going into an arena that's, 10 degrees or so, getting them all sweated up, and then having to haul them in a trailer back home. I have zero of that. So they're just outside 24/7. They do have access to an open-faced shelter. I do have a barn. I do not put my horses in my barn because the air quality is very, very bad in there. So they are outside. They do have access to a shelter. They have access to move around, all that good stuff. There's plenty of, between the barn and the shelter, they get breaks from the wind. They have access to plenty of forage, water 24/7. That's kind of their situation. So that's why I'm wanting to keep them as natural as possible. I feel like their situation is. And so at this point, yeah, to me, blankets are not necessary, except in some situations that could pop up during the winter. The big potential situation where I would blanket my horses this winter is if we have cold plus wet. So if we started getting freezing rain or very, very wet snow, I would consider blanketing my horses before that starts. So they're dry, put the blankets on, then they get rained on. The problem with rain is rain seeps into that winter coat of theirs, and then it doesn't work the way it's designed. Whereas if you just get snow that's coming down, like we are today here, the snow actually acts as insulation as well. It falls onto their body and just kind of sits there. The snow doesn't seep into their body, whereas a really, really wet snow or a rain would. And once your horse gets wet, that's when they get cold. They're gonna start to shiver, and that's where we have problems. So I always keep an eye on the forecast. If I see that something very, very wet is coming down the pipe, I would definitely be pulling the blankets out at that point. It's a lot of just assessing the horse that's in front of me, as well as assessing the weather conditions. If we have a really, really cold day plus a wind chill, that might warrant blankets as well. If I notice, so yes, Junior is older. If I noticed he was starting to lose weight or just having issues with the cold, 1, I would probably get my vet out here, but 2, I would be more open to blanketing him at that point, because I don't want him to have a tough time through the winter, and I'd want to try and help him out if I can. So instead of prioritizing blanketing, there are other things that I am prioritizing to make sure that my horses stay warm throughout the entire winter. And number 1 is forage. Forage, forage, forage. My horses are living exclusively on hay this time of year. Obviously, there is not a single blade of grass to be found this time of year. They are living on good quality, like a mixed kind of hay, good quality hay. Digestion is what keeps your horse warm. So it's really important that you don't just feed them once a day and that's it. You want them continually digesting to keep that furnace running. That is the biggest thing that is going to keep your horse warm. Number 2 is shelter. We want them to be able to shelter from both wind as well as any precipitation. So as I said, I do have an open face shelter that they can run in and out of. They have the side of the barn that protects them from the wind. They have protection from the wind from various directions, and so that allows them to stay out of the wind, which can obviously make them very cold. And if snow comes down, they have a way to get out of that as well. Number 3 is letting them move. So my horses have access to quite a few pens. I've opened up pretty much all the gates, and they have free reign of all of the corrals that we have on our place, and they can just run around, walk around. It doesn't take a lot, just a good walk. Them moving around, just snooping around to keep them warm, to keep that blood pumping. You don't want them in a super confined spot. I mean, just think about yourself. Like I immediately think about standing and holding my horses for the farrier in the wintertime. I get so cold doing that because I'm literally just standing there, not moving, holding my horses for an extended period of time. I get so cold. Contrast that with yesterday, it was minus 25, I want to say. I was out there for almost an hour. I was walking my horses. I was forking hay, doing my chores. I did not get cold. By the time I got in here, my toes were starting to get cold, but as a general rule, I was not cold. So think about that with your horses. You don't want them stuck in a very small area. You want them to be able to move as much as possible. And not only is that going to keep them warm, it's also going to help maintain their fitness throughout the year or throughout the winter, because I'm assuming you're not riding them as much as you would during the warmer months. So kind of a 2-for-1 with that one. And number 4, as I said before, I'm constantly monitoring them. I'm monitoring just how if their weight is fluctuating at all. How is their temperament? Are they moving around? Are they shivering? Like just watching your horse on a regular basis, paying attention to the animal that's in front of you and making decisions based on that. I feel like a lot of people this time of year just say, sayonara, we will see you in the spring. That is not being a good horse owner. You need to be constantly monitoring your horse and watching for signs of things that they're trying to tell you. As I mentioned briefly, I'm not hauling my horses anywhere, or the plan is not to haul them anywhere this year. In the past, I have. And so that was one of the reasons for me blanketing Junior more regularly in the past, is because I would load him up into a stock trailer, take him to an arena, usually no more than half an hour away, ride in an arena that's usually, most arenas I think are set around 10 degrees Celsius, ride around in there. Obviously his hair is a bit longer, even if he does have a blanket on. He's gonna generate heat, he's gonna get sweaty. I would then cool him out as best I could, dry him out as best I could, put him back in that stock trailer and haul home. To me, having a blanket when you're doing that consistently makes sense. But as I said, I'm not doing that at all with my horses this year. Maybe I will in the future, but at this point, just everything that is involved with hauling in the winter just seems not worth it to me at this point. There's enough things that I can do with my horses here at the ranch during the winter that even just the risk of driving with my horses in a horse trailer on winter roads doesn't seem worth the risk to me at this point. So we are sticking home. And I know that there's some people that are still gonna say, what if your horse gets cold? As I said, I am watching them. It is very obvious when a horse is cold. They're gonna shiver. They might kind of just be like tucked up underneath themselves. Like think about when you get cold, right? You just kind of collapse into yourself. Horses do the same thing. They might not want to move around a lot, despite the fact that moving around would warm them up. They might just seem kind of lethargic. As I said, shivering. Like, it is very obvious if a horse is cold. And if my horses were showing any signs of that, I would act on that immediately, obviously. It's not that I'm anti-blanket. I'm never going to blanket ever again. Like, I have blankets. I will use them if I need them. It's just I'm wanting to keep my horses as natural as possible, and I think they are fully capable of keeping themselves warm throughout the winter. I think as an industry, we kind of run into the fault of following trends without asking questions. And I think as a more inexperienced horse person, I have fallen into that trap in the past. I just thought blankets kind of looked cool on horses, and I thought it was just something that you needed to do. Like, I see so many horses that are blanketed. I just thought that is what you needed to do. And I honestly thought that people who didn't blanket their horses didn't take care of their horses as well as they could. Now that I am a bit more educated, I know that that is not the case at all. And there are many instances where horses do not need blankets whatsoever. I would say if you have a horse, I would definitely have blankets around. I know they are expensive. Here in Canada, I think they're at least $200 a piece for a really good winter blanket. I think it's important to have them around for those cases. Again, like if your horse does happen to get cold, or if you know there's going to be a wet spell and it's going to be cold, like it's really important to have blankets around. But I don't think it's not necessary to have them blanketed full time unless they fall into one of those categories where blanketing does become important. At the end of the day, I feel like I've said this several times already in this. It's about looking at the animal in front of you and asking yourself, what does this animal need, and acting accordingly. If you blanket your horse and it works for you, I totally respect that. If you don't blanket your horse, I respect that as well. I would also love to hear from you. This is, like I said, this is literally the first time I have not blanketed my horses since I've owned Junior. I bought Junior in 2006. This is the first time I have not blanketed my horses. So far, so good. So I will report back. Like, I'm recording this in late December. I will report back maybe in the springtime on how it all went, but so far so good. We've had a few cold days. It is snowing a crazy amount right now, so I'll be curious to see how things go today and throughout the weekend. But yeah, so far so good. I will report back, but I would love to hear from you about, do you blanket, do you not blanket, good, bad, what's your stories? I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. You can follow me everywhere at Strong in the Saddle. And until next time, remember, it's always a good day to ride.